If you are seeking the truth about the nature of reality, you have likely noticed a massive disconnect. For the last few centuries, the Western world has tried to force a separation between the physical and the spiritual. If you see strange lights in the sky, science says it's weather balloons or swamp gas. If you experience a terrifying presence in your bedroom at night, medicine calls it sleep paralysis. And if you talk to a traditional church about it, they might just tell you it's all superstition. But what if I told you that the ancient authors of the Bible had a unified theory that explains all of this? A theory that doesn't separate aliens from demons, but maps them on a cosmic battlefield? Today, we are going to bypass centuries of tradition and look at the actual cosmic geography of the scriptures. We are going to discover why the modern UFO phenomenon is real, why it's hostile, and why you have been given absolute legal authority over it. To understand the war we are in, we have to go back to the beginning. Not Genesis 1, but an event described in Deuteronomy chapter 32. Most people think the Old Testament is just about God and Israel, but the ancient text reveals something startling. At the Tower of Babel, God didn't just confuse languages. The oldest texts say he disinherited the nations. He placed the Gentile nations under the administration of members of his divine council, entities called the B'nai Elohim, or the sons of God. Yahweh chose Israel for himself and assigned other spiritual rulers over the rest of the planet. The problem? Psalm 82 tells us these rulers rebelled. They accepted worship for themselves and became the corrupt gods of the ancient world. This is the Deuteronomy 32 worldview. The earth is occupied territory, divided into spiritual jurisdictions ruled by hostile, non-human intelligences. Once you understand that the world is occupied, you need to understand the enemy's hierarchy. This research reveals that the Bible describes a vertical topography of spiritual warfare. It's a two-front war. First, you have the high-altitude war. In Ephesians 6, the Apostle Paul describes wrestling against rulers, authorities, and cosmic powers in the heavenly places. These are the high-ranking sons of God we just talked about. They operate in the second heaven, the atmosphere, and space. Their game is geopolitics. They shift cultures, blind whole nations to the truth, and perhaps manifest as the lights in the sky that guide human ideology. But then, there's the ground war, the low-altitude threat. In Luke chapter 10, when Jesus sends out 70 disciples, a number symbolizing the 70 nations ruled by those hostile spirits, he gives them a very different kind of authority. He says, "I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy." Serpents and scorpions. For centuries, we thought these were just metaphors for danger. They are not. In the ancient Near East, scorpion men were mythological hybrids that guarded the gates of the underworld. Serpents were associated with the chaos monsters of the deep abyss. Jesus was using precise terminology. He was identifying entities that are terrestrial and subterranean, the foot soldiers of the dark worldview. Now, look at the modern phenomenon. What do people report in abduction scenarios? Small, robotic, hive-minded beings. The Hopi Indians called them ant people who live underground. Modern ufology calls them greys or cryptoterrestrials. What about the reptilian entities often reported as overseers? They map perfectly to the Nachash, the shining serpent of Genesis, or the Naga beings of Eastern mythology that dwell deep within the earth. The Bible isn't outdated. It gave us the taxonomy for these beings thousands of years before Roswell. They aren't travelers from another galaxy. They are interdimensional occupiers from the abyss. This leads us to the most important part of this research, the solution. If these beings were just advanced biological scientists from the Pleiades, they would be indifferent to human religion. A gray, alien scientist should no more fear the name of Jesus than a human scientist fears the name of Zeus. Yet, empirical data suggests the exact opposite. The CE4 research group, led by former MUFON investigators, has documented over 400 cases of so-called alien abductions and sleep paralysis attacks that were instantly terminated. How? When the victim, even out of sheer desperation, called upon the name of Jesus Christ. The reports are consistent. The entities show shock, fear, and anger. The paralysis breaks. The spaceship environment dissolves. They flee. Why does this work? It's not magic. It's cosmic law. When Jesus died on the cross and rose again, it wasn't just for human forgiveness. Colossians 2 tells us he disarmed the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame. He stripped the rebellious sons of God of their legal right to rule the nations. He took back the keys to death and Hades from the subterranean powers. The name of Jesus is not an incantation. It is power of attorney. When a believer uses that name against these entities, they are serving a cease and desist order from the Supreme Court of the universe. These beings, whether they pose as aliens or demons, know they have been legally disarmed and they must comply. You are not helpless fodder for cosmic experiments. The research is clear. The gates of hell are defensive structures, and you have been authorized to batter them down.